Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Matthew and I am an automation advisor. In this video I am going to show you how to rename files based on custom rules, all this without writing a single line of code. I will be using Fabati Automation Workshop for this task. But we will cover that a little bit later. Now, take a look at our files. We have a legacy database that generates PDF reports with the following naming convention. We have a Word report. We have an ID from the internal program that we want to keep in our file name. And we have a name of the department. Our task is to translate the DB generated file names to more simple and human readable. We will capitalize the first letter of the department. We will pad the ID with zeros. We need to include the report state in the file name. The automated task will watch for new files in the folder called input. It will move the newly discovered file to the output folder. And then using the naming convention I described earlier, it will rename the file. This all will happen in real time. As a new file appears in the input folder, it is automatically moved and renamed to the output folder. Now, let's use the automation workshop to create our task. Click on the New Task button. Creating a new task is easy. Just follow the simple steps from the wizard. We will need a file and folder watcher trigger to monitor the input folder. Automation Workshop also has triggers to monitor remote servers using FTP, SFTP, or cloud protocols, but for local files we will use File and Folder Watcher. We want to monitor our input folder. We also want to trigger only on files that start with a Word report, followed by a dash. Asterisk means anything in between. Click OK to add this trigger to our task. Next, we will need some actions. Automation Workshop features more than 100 actions, but we will choose the split text action from the text category, as we want to split our file names into separate parts. Click on the Variable Wizard button. Choose the trigger we have just created. The trigger provides us with a full path by default. But we want only a file name, without an extension. As you remember, our file names contain 3 parts, all separated by a dash. Split text action does not provide us with a dash, so choose the custom separator and type a dash character. Giving a recognizable name for each of the file names parts will aid the task creation process later. The first part is the Word report. Let's name it Report. The second is our internal ID. Let's call it Entry ID. And the third is the name of the department. Let's call it Department. I will leave the fourth and the subsequent as is. Click OK to add this action to our task. Next, we will use the Change Text Case action to make the first letter of the department name capital or uppercase. Using Variable Wizard, choose the Split Text action. And select the department, which is the third token in our file name. Select the title case method. And click OK. To make our task more maintainable in the future, we will create a variable from our newly capitalized department name. Choose the Set Variable action from the list of actions. Name it My Report. From the variable wizard, choose out newly capitalized text we added in the previous step. Also, add the word report. So we will have sales department or accounting department. Click OK. Our naming convention requires that IDs are padded with zeros. So, let's choose the pad text action. Using variable wizard, choose the split text action again. And this time we will need the token number 2. Entry ID. You can see the example input and output of this action at the bottom. I will set the maximum length of the final ID to 10 characters. I will use the set variable action again to create a variable for the ID. Let us call it My ID. Again, use the variable wizard. As we want to use the 0 padded ID, choose the pad text action we just created. And click OK. Click OK to add this action to the task. Finally, we will need the third variable to store the report's creation date. Let's name it My Date. Now, open the variable wizard. To create a variable with current date, we can use the date presets from the date and time category. However, for this tutorial, I will show you how to create a date from 3 parts: a year component, a month component, and a day component. Choose the date component. Then select year. As always, you can preview the final result at the bottom of the window. Click OK. Add a space character to separate our date parts. Now, repeat the same steps for the month and the day. Don't forget a space character. I will add a leading 0 to day of the month, to make file names to look aligned, like table columns. Click OK. Click Add to add another action to our task. Navigate to the Actions category, and choose the File and Folder category. We will use the Move File action to move the report files to the Output folder. Use the variable wizard to access the name of the newly discovered file name from the File and Folder Watcher trigger. We will use the full path and file name this time. We want to move our file to the Output folder. The file is now in the Output folder, but with the old name. I will use the Rename File action to give the file a new name. As we want to rename the file that was just moved to the Output folder, use the variable wizard to access variables provided by the Move File action. Usually, the default variable is what we want. We will use our variables that we prepared earlier for the new file name. All variables are located under the Variables section. We will start with the report name. Hit a spacebar to insert a space character. The creation date of the report we have prepared earlier. A space, a dash, and a space, to give a file name some spacing between its parts. And finally, the ID that we padded with zeros. Don't forget to add an extension to the file name. Otherwise, the file will not have one. Click OK to add this renaming step to the task. Finalize the task creation and choose if you want to get notified when our task is executed. As the last step, give the task a meaningful name. Now, sit back and relax, while Automation Workshop is doing all the work for you. Files that appear in the input folder are automatically renamed using your defined naming convention. It is possible to extend the task by adding the send email action, to send newly created reports by email. Or, with an added condition, send only some reports to email. For example, the reports for the accounting department. If you have not yet downloaded Automation Workshop, please do so via one of the links below in the description. No registration required, and it takes only a minute. I hope you find this useful, and thanks for watching. Till the next time.